Hello everyone. So let's continue with our main answer writing program that's been going on for I think for quite a period of time now. It's been almost a month and 2.5 months out there that we are presenting all these questions out there and try to build your perspective out there. So again, I've come up with another question out there. I've come up with another question out there, and the question is related to the social justice part. And the question itself is related to the social justice part. It's related to actually what we call as a traditions out there. It's related to what we actually called out as traditions out there, and it's a major theme. And it's a major theme that's been asked by the UPSC. There have been several questions that center around that theme called traditions and customs. Even an essay has been asked. Even an essay has been asked related to that. Even an essay has been asked related to that. That how it's presenting a status quo situation out there. It's presenting a status quo position out there, and Indian society is yet not ready to accept changes or accept a more rational point of view when it comes to those archaic those archaic ideologies out there that's been going on since ages in our society. That's been going on since ages in our society. So again, let's move on to the PPT. Let's see how we can decipher this question into different subparts. How we can decipher this question into different subparts are there, and we can manage how we can do that. Okay, let's move on to that. Customs and traditions in hindrance heritage. Customs and traditions. Custom and tradition hindrance or heritage. Now, the point is, a lot of people see those traditions, especially when it comes to Gen Z out there. They see this traditions out there as a bottleneck or as a hindrance towards their achieving the highest goal out there, achieving the highest goal out there. So, Gen Z, a lot of Gen Z shows immense amount of outrage for this tradition and customs that's been there in our society for a very long period of time. For a very long period of time, like a lot of Gen Zs want to have a live-in relationship, but our traditions obviously it doesn't allow that sort of live-in relationship. It still wants people to marry within their caste or within their family structure or within their network, what we call as arranged marriage out there. So again, they this is a force that's been countering this traditions and asking questions. It's similar to the dark age that was there in the Europe. It was similar to that. We will come into that as well. We will come into that. It's just a premise out there. It's just a premise out there how things work. So let's see. And the point is defining what terms. Customs. What's a custom is? So custom is a routine practices. Custom is a routine practice. Custom is a routine practice out there. Custom is a routine practice, shared behaviors specific to a particular group or community. Specific to a particular group or community out there. It's a routine practice. It's a routine practice out there. It's a routine practices and shared behaviors specific to a particular group of community. Okay, again, what are being done in your marriages out there? For example, agar you take that feras around that 7 feras around, that's a custom, that's a practice out there. Shared behaviors that whenever a marriage will take place, obviously we will take 7 feras, or we will chant mantras by Panditji. Chant mantras by Panditji. Panditji out there. Okay. So it's a routine practice. It's a routine practice that's been going on. Again, certain customs out there. For example, if you belong to a Hindu family out there, there would have been custom that wake up early, take bath, and do certain amount of puja out there. Do certain amount of puja in front of any god out there, be it Hanumanji or Shivji, anyone out there. So that would have been a custom for many families out there. There would have been customs in many family that sleep early. We don't allow late sitting out there. I know many lot of families out there. A lot of families they have this sleep early, 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. out there. We don't want to be that late. That's a tradition. That's a custom. That's a behavior out there. Behavior specifics. Now, what's tradition? That's an enduring belief, values, and practices passed down enough through generation. Traditions that's been passed on from generation to generation. It's been belief. It's a belief, and these beliefs can be scientific or can be very impractical at the same point of time. Can be very impractical for the same point of time. Like for example, बिल्ली ने रास्ता काट लिया. Don't cross that road because a cat has crossed that mark. So that's a tradition that's been passed out. I think it shows, of course, bad luck out there. So to avoid that, change the route. Change the route. That's a tradition. That's a enduring beliefs that passed on from one generation to another. There's another thing that a lot of people says that like you must have heard about this. Uh, you must have heard about this. What we traditions of the enduring beliefs that a mother, a mother that's been a pregnant out there, a pregnant woman out there should not do any hardcore labor, should not do any sort of doing those household chores, pocha and jhadu and all that stuff. She needs to be given a proper rest out there. But that's a factually incorrect statement out there because study shows that a practical or a I would say the pregnant woman needs to do a lot of exercise. That's very healthy for the baby out there. So a normal gym under a preference guidance, a normal yoga under a preference guidance should be there in order to maintain a healthy baby out there. Again, that's a belief that passed on from generation to generation, passed on from generation to generation. Another is a financial belief. Take example of financial belief. The earliest belief were to save money, to save money out there, to save money out there by doing FDs and all these stuff or buying gold out there. But at the same time, understand gold is a dead asset. Gold is a dead asset. At the same time, these traditions are passed on. Now, if someone says do FD, no, people are not doing any FD. They are doing SIPs called systematic investment plans. They are considered to be systematic investment plans. Again, that's a financial belief that financial beliefs, a certain beliefs pass down from one generation to another. One generation to another. Certain beliefs. For example, a belief, a belief, belief of doing FDs that's been going on since ages. Belief of doing FDs. Belief, belief. It can be very random beliefs out there that parents are or moms are or mothers are representation of gods. These are beliefs of that's a beliefs of a culture of a society out there are representation of gods. Belief that teacher need to be given a lot of respect. Belief that's been going on that teacher need to be given a lot of respect. ठीक है, all these are certain beliefs that pass down from generation to generation and being still followed. Again, these are certain beliefs that based on a culture, based on a society out there, maybe a practical, maybe not. It can be countered, it can be not. That depends upon the reasoning and science. Of course, beliefs are being countered, are being countered by science and tech, by science out there, by reasoning, science, reasoning, all these stuff. They are being countered by that. They are being countered by that. I hope you got these what are beliefs. I've given you certain amount of examples. You can use these examples in your answer and other stuff out there. And another other stuff out there. Again, sir, social regression, a decline in overall human well-being, rights and societal progress, often marked by the reversal of advancements. Social regression, that's a very important topic out there. Social regression. When I say social regression, it's nothing but a deterioration of society out there. Social regression out there, it's nothing but deterioration of a society. Deterioration of society. Now, how social it leads to a deterioration of society? Sir, take an example of a recent conflict that's called Hindu-Muslim conflict. That's called Hindu-Muslim conflict. That's called Hindu-Muslim conflict. Now, there has been a lot of hatred towards another society out there. There has been a lot of hatred towards another society out there. All they are, all they, all they are doing is just providing, spitting venom out of their mouth, spitting venom out of their mouth. But sir, the point is it leading to, is it leading to any advancement in a society? No, it's not. It is pushing us backwards, because our nation is a secular nation. Our nation is a melting pot. Our nation is a melting pot of all the beliefs. Melting pot theory. Melting pot theory. It's like this. It's a melting pot theory of all the beliefs. There is Sikhs. There is Hindus. There is Muslims, Parsis, Buddhists, Jain, all these. It's an amalgamation of, our nation is known as a cosmopolitan because it's an amalgamation of different amalgamation of different beliefs. Amalgamation of different beliefs out there. Amalgamation of different beliefs out there. I hope you got these points. I hope you got these points. Amalgamation of different beliefs out there. Okay. I hope you got these. I hope. Again, this is leading to a backwardness of society. Again, when a society votes, it decides whether society will advance or society will move backwards. Voting system or voting practice in a nation. Ask yourself, do we vote? Do we vote based on development issues, based on someone's manifesto, or just based on someone's charisma out there? We vote based on someone's charismatic character. We vote based on someone's caste out there, someone's religion out there. For example, there are a lot of people that's been a fanboy out there. There are a lot of people who are a fan of Narendra Modi out there. The other section of society that's been fan of Rahul Gandhi. But you don't need to be a fan of anyone out there. You need to understand that who is offering me a better solution in the nation, who is giving me a better manifesto, who will ensure the accountability of bureaucracy out there. Will there anyone who just shows what kind of nation we want out there? If that person, is showing you that, okay, this is my promise, I'll deliver on that, vote for him, vote for him. But instead, we don't vote on development. We vote on personality. No, Narendra Modi has a charisma, we'll vote for him. That's a complete bullshit. Vote on personality. Vote on personality. Another is vote on caste. Another is vote on personality, caste, religion. So again, this section of thinking is moving our society backwards. Okay? All these practices are moving our society backward. Another thing is conflict between deterioration of deteriorate or declining human values out there. Declining human values. Human empathy. Compassion. Human empathy, compassion, and sympathy. What does that mean? What completely does that mean? So this means that, take an example. There's been a Gen Z out there, a 24, 25-year-old. He abuses a certain person out there, a 70-year-old person, just because he's a security guard out there, or just because he's doing certain blue collar work out there. So you give respect based on the bank balance, based on from where you're coming. If you're coming from an affluent family, you're going to give respect out there. If you're not coming from an affluent family or a rich family out there, you just abuse certain person. And I've seen this personally out there. People just use this vulgar language, that too against a person that is being doing hard work, that is being 60, 70-year-old out there. So there has been a conflict of human values out there. There has been a deterioration of a human values out there. This is moving our culture backwards. This is moving our society backwards. Another context is declining in the book reading habit. Declining in the book reading habit. So people often ask why it's important to read book. And I often say that you don't read books for stories. You read book to experience someone else's experience in a short span of time. If you're reading a book, you will get to know a person that has lived almost 60 or 70 years old within the span of 20, 30 days out there. That's how books teach you. But again, there has been a decline in book reading because of invasion of what we call as a social media. Because of invasion of social media. Because of invasion of social media. Because of invasion of social media out there. Now tell me, sir, this is pushing our society backwards. This is not pushing our society to advancement. Look at West out there. Look at the West out there. See, US, with all its bad regions out there, you consider US as a most pathetic nation. There has been no culture, no values out there. You always tease them, okay, you don't even know who is your father is. But look at the education system out there. They have Harvard, they have Stanford, they have Wharton, Yale, Columbia, all these Ivy Leagues. Trust me, they have the best universities out there. Even IITs and IIMs don't stand a chance in front of Harvard and Stanford. Nothing, useless. IITs are nowhere when it comes to MIT out there, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So consider that. They are spending too much on education out there, and it's fantastic because people are coming out of that. You say a lot of people always argue, look, we have engineers that's been working in a Facebook out there, we have engineers that's been working on a Twitter out there. So what? They are working, they're still employees. Employer is Elon Musk, employer is Mark Zuckerberg. These are called real power. They run America. Don't fall into this trap that earlier Joe Biden was running America. Now Trump is being running that US administration. That's complete shit up on that bullshit. Because again, the whole world is run by those plutocrats, the people who have money out there. It's been Jeff Bezos, it's been Elon Musk, it's been Zuckerberg. All these billionaires out there run nations. All these billionaires. That's called a plutocracy, and it's a fact. Democracy is a face value. You see and you call it a face value. Okay, democracy is there in US and India, but ultimately it's a plutocracy. Nation run by billionaires. Nation run by billionaires. I hope you got this point. Again, sir, there has been a lot of things out there. Too much invasion of social media leads to easy accessibility of soft porn. Sir, as you can see, the Netflix is not being regulated out there. The Disney Hotstar is not being regulated out there. A lot of content is posted out there. That's too very vulgar out again. That's too very vulgar. And it's adult content out there. Still a lot of kids watch that. Still a lot of adolescents watch that. What's going to happen? Will it impact their psychology? How will it impact their psychology? I think you must have seen that series of Adolescents. That's been there in the Netflix. It's an absolutely must-watch series out there. So easy access to soft porn. Where we are heading? Where is our young generation going out there? What's been going on in their mind out there? That's a tender age. When kids are there, that's a tender age. That age to learn new skill, to play sport, to read. But what they're doing, they are just sitting in front of a screen, scrolling a content, movie. That's an adult content out there. Now we have what we called as a poor choice of heroes. Poor choice of heroes. Look at all these certain sections. When you look at the social media out there, whom you consider your hero? Elvish Yadav, Rajat Dalal, and all these, that kid is Rebel Kid. These are your heroes. If these are the heroes of young kids out there, or young demography out there, the future is doomed out there. No one can save India from anything. No one can save. Because what they're teaching you, a bloody bullshit out there with no extra talent. They just got famous because you make them famous. They just got famous. They're just earning money without any talent because people of this nation make them famous without any reason. They don't even have a crap of knowledge out there. Trust me, if they'll go for a 10,000 job out there, no one's going to pay them. So it's a poor choice of heroes. A lot of youngsters follow these. I don't know for what reason. A lot of people watch vlogs. What kind of happiness you're deriving by looking at what's going on in someone else's life? What kind of happiness you're deriving? That's cheap out there. You're looking in someone else's life through a vlog. How it's going to impact your life? Instead, introspect in your life. Instead, spend quality time with your parents out there. If you want a leisure, go out with your friends, have a good dinner or a lunch out there. Read good books, have a good coffee. These are leisure activities out there. If you want to watch movie out there, if it's come good movie, go ahead. F1 is recently come, and there is a recent movie that has come to the theaters called F1 by Brad Pitt. Absolutely fantastic movie. Absolutely, that's called a cinema out there. Don't fall into this trap of this Kabir Singh and what you called as a lovebirds out there and Sacha Pyar ho gaya. That's completely shit. That's nothing. Love fades away with time. Money stays with you till your last breath. That's how thing works. Love fades away with time. fades away with time. Love fades away with time, but money stays with you till your last breath. Stays with you till your last breath. I hope you got these. What are the reasons why we are heading towards a social regression? I hope you got these. Why we are heading towards a social regression out there? Why we are heading towards social regression out there? Another is what social regression is. Another is it's a traditional beliefs that's pushing society backwards. Traditional beliefs. Traditional beliefs that's pushing society backward, leading to a social regression. How? So, for example, if a person is coming from a highly patriarchy society, and we have a history of a great patriarchy out there, even today, there exists ample amount of patriarchy in our current society. If a person is coming from a patriarchal society, he'll probably believe that okay, he's the earner of a family, he's a sole bread earner. His wife doesn't need to work out there. His wife doesn't need to work out there. He'll be the provider. She'll be the caretaker out there. His wife don't need to work out. Don't need to work. Now his ideology will say, okay, yeah, I'm coming from a patriarchal society out there. The socialization has been that where a woman doesn't work in a market out there, it's the man who is a provider and woman is a caretaker. She takes care of the family out there. She looks after the household chores. Whereas men will go out there in the market, earn something, and will be the provider to the family out there. This is the relation that's been there. It's called a traditional beliefs. That's been a typical representation of a patriarchy out there. But sir, again, it's been pushing our society backwards. Why? Because if his wife will not work out there, or if he doesn't allow his wife to be there in the female labor force participation out there, it will lead to a substantial loss of human productivity. It will lead to a substantial loss of human productivity out there. I hope you got this. Or it will reduce down the human demographic. You wouldn't reap the benefit of a demographic dividend out there because household chores doesn't come under the current definition of GDP. It doesn't account any value addition, systematic work. It doesn't being accounted as that. So we are heading towards a social regression because of traditional beliefs, because of the traditional beliefs out there. Again, belief. Now there has been a term called alexithymia, I think. Alexithymia. It shows that men suffers from expressing their emotions, suffers. They don't have that required socialization that requires to confront or come out with their emotions that easily. So in Indian society, you must have seen that men don't cry that easily. Why? It's the socialization, it's the traditional beliefs that men need to be that solid. If he's facing something, if he's going through certain hardships out there in his life, he needs to bear that alone without confronting his vulnerability with others, without confronting his vulnerabilities with others. I mean, that's have a different reasons for that, why you don't require to show your vulnerabilities to the outside world, because people will I would say people will exploit that. People will exploit that. As you have seen that certain, there has been a fantastic line by Salim साहब कि दूसरों को आंसू दिखाओगे तो लोग उसका फायदा उठा देंगे. पहुंचने कोई नहीं आएगा लेकिन फायदा उठा देंगे. That's how thing works out there. That's how thing works out there. So people will exploit that. That's why men are told don't don't explicitly show your emotions out there in the world, because everyone's gonna exploit you. But again, sir, it's been leading what? It's been leading to the accumulation of suffering over the period of time, leads to an accumulation of suffering accumulation of suffering over a period of time. Accumulation of suffering over a period of time. Now, that's been a very tough thing because a lot of men are facing depression out there. A lot of men are facing depression. The depression of maybe their loved ones has cheated them in a relationship out there, don't have a job out there, do doing everything out there right, but still not able to fulfill the desires of their parents. That's the biggest regret of a son out there, biggest regret of a man. Doing everything out there, but still not able to fulfill those desires of his parents out there, or not able to earn that much of money. That's again a typical scene of depression for a man out there. And that's been accumulating over a period of time. And that's been accumulating over a period of time. Okay, sir, Alexi theme. Now, this again is pushing our society backwards because men are not expressive. Men are not expressive. They're not able to express their feelings out there. It's leading to a depression. Again, if a lot of men will enter into a state of depression, it will be a disaster for the economy, disaster for the society out there. I hope you got this. It will be a disaster for the economy. It will be a disaster for the society out there. Okay. Okay. I hope this is clear with you. I hope this is clear with you. What's another thing that's pushing social regression is a very important topic. What another thing that's pushing society backward? What society pushing backward is too much of independence, too much of me time, too much ask for personal space. Too much ask for personal space. Still you are not alone. Still you are not alone. Not alone. Or deficiency of solitude or deficit of solitude. Deficit of solitude out there. Still you are not alone. Now what's this concept? What's this concept? The point is, sir, the point is, we have adopted a lot of things from the West out there. And one of the things we have adopted from the West is not education that we need to adopt it, is a peak individualism. Now look at the relationship between parents and kids. Kids want their separate time. They want that we require the me time out there. Don't interfere in our personal lives out there. Don't check our phones and laptops. It's locked with passwords out there. Okay, it's a individualism is required. You need solitude. You need your me time. That's very important out there. But sir, your me time or free space, still you are not alone because you are being addicted to social media. Now the concept of individualism for these Gen Zs that okay, we want a me time, we want a solitude, but sir and ma'am, you're not alone. You are engaged in certain screens out there. You're not alone. The dopamine has been released through social media out there. You have been interacting with someone, you're posting someone, XYZ, all these stuff. You're not alone. This is not a solitude. This is not a solitude. You need me time for meditation. That is very important. To ask questions, to let thoughts come into your mind and control that. You need that time. You need me time to learn good skills. If you want to learn dance, if you want to learn music, go ahead with that. That's perfectly fine. If you want a me time, to spend your quality time with yourself while doing a walking or want to listen to music, that's perfectly fine. But if you're spending a me time while scrolling a social media, that's nothing but a doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. That's nothing but a doom scrolling out there. Doom scrolling. Again, this sort of generation won't take us forward. This sort of generation won't take us forward. This sort of generation won't take us forward. Won't take us forward. This sort of generation won't take us forward because they don't have a self control out there. They don't have a self control out there. They are being possessed. They are being possessed by this social media algorithm out there. Again, you would say that's a problem of social media. No, it's not a problem of bloody social media out there. It's a bloody problem of a youth out there. You can't control your senses. You can't control your senses. You're not in your senses out there. You're not able to control your body out there. You're not able to control your mind out there. Then what the hell you're doing? Then what the hell you're doing? What the hell you're doing? What the hell you're doing? Okay. So again, these all are examples of social regression out there that you can use in your GS1. You can and you use your if your optional is humanity based, you can use these points out there. It's extremely research points out there. Again, you can use these points effectively in your essay examination. Trust me, your essay examination is will be philosophical in nature. It will not be a direct GS theme out there. It will be a philosophical out there, and you need to present different approaches, different perspective out there. And I hope I was or I am able to develop that perspective within you. I hope that I'll make certain amount of videos that will help you to improve your thought process, to improve your thought process. So again, these are examples of social regression. Okay. The argument for suppression. The argument for suppression. It's a resistance to change. The argument for suppression. Resistant to change. Why people are so much dogmatic out there? Why they are so much dogmatic? Why they're so hard-headed person? They don't want to change. Why lot of people? Why a lot of people are status quoist in nature? Are status quoist. Status quo. Why they want to adopt a status quo? Why they're not? Why they are resist change out there? And that's a human tendency, sir. That's a human tendency out there. Why would anyone want to change? A comfort, no one wants to leave a comfort zone out there. No one wants to leave a comfort zone out there. Why would anyone want to change a status quo position out there? Why would? Take an example. You're doing your job, that's everything is perfectly fine, you're getting a salary at the end of the month, but suddenly AI disrupt the job system. AI disrupt the job system, and you lost your job. Instead of focusing that I need to learn these AI tools, he's scribbling about that why technology has taken my job out there. That's the perspective, because he wants a status quo. Let it run how it's been doing that. The past and the present and the future needs to be aligned. It should not be changed. It should continue as it is being continued in the past out there. But sir, change is natural. It's gonna be changed. There would be a Dwapar Yuga out there. Now there is called a Kali Yuga. Time changes. Everything changes. You need to adapt as per the situation, as per the circumstances. Otherwise, you will only crib about that. So that's why people resist change, because they don't want to leave comfort zone out there. They don't want to leave comfort zone out there. Don't want to leave. They don't want to come out of their comfort zone. Come out of their. They don't want to come out of their comfort zone. People want status quos, that typically called functionalist. Status quo, they don't want to come out there, or prefer comfort zone over change. Comfort zone over change. Comfort zone over change. I hope you got these points. I hope you got these points out there. Okay, now let's see the PPT out there. Let's see the resistance to change. Traditions can create inertia, actively resisting new knowledge or progressive ideas that challenge established norms. There has been saying, that if someone believes into something, it's very difficult to change that point of view. It's very difficult to change that point of view. Take example of your relatives. Why we consider relatives as our enemies out there? Why we consider relatives as our enemies out there? Because what they do is backbitching. What they typically do is backbitching or taunt you. That's why you consider your relatives as your enemy out there. But sir, they again, that's the typical status quo position. Typical. They don't want to change. Relatives back 100 years back down the line, relatives were still enemy. Now at this moment as well, relatives are enemy for anyone. We don't love our relatives. That's how thing works. On outer side, we do meet up in a once in a while for a family function out there. We do have a family dinners at the moment, but sir, we hate them. We hate them because we know that they are not well wishers of ours. They just want those masala out there that's been going on in your life, because they just want to chat about that. Back bitching, taunts, all these stuff is carried out by relatives. So again, relatives don't change, they remain same. Earlier, for someone else, for our last generation, they were still enemy out there. They were typical villainish thing, diabolically devil out there. So yeah, even in the present out there, that diabolically devilish. Everyone hates them. So again, they're resistant to change. They don't want to change. They don't want to be supportive out there. They just want what's going on in your life. They just want that masala out there, entertainment out there, to do a back bitching and taunt you for that. Look at these 12 board examinations. Again, it's an anxiety period for the 12th grade students out there. What will be their result? There's so much of panic and tension out there. But again, who wants to hear it first? It's your relatives, it's your bua who wants to hear your result. What's your result is? How much do you score? Is it 90% or above or below it? 90%? Is it more than their child or less than their child? That's how thing works. So again, that's resistant to change. They are still the same. They were like that. They are like that. They will be like that. They were like that. They are like that. They will be like that. That's a sequence they are following. Again, fear of deviation. Deviation is another important concept. Deviation is moving from a certain standards out there, moving out from a status quo out there. So take an example. If someone is going against a society, he'll be considered as a deviant. If someone is going against a society, he'll be considered as a deviant. So deviation. So take an example of a deviation. Gay or lesbian, what we call a LGBT, gay and lesbians. That's called LGBT society, LGBTQ society. They're considered as a deviant. They are considered as a deviant out there. They are considered deviants. Why they are deviants? Because it's not a normal theme out there. It's not a normal theme out there. We follow heterosexuality. But they prefer homosexuality. So I hope you got this, because they are deviants. But again, sir, are they deviants? No, they are absolutely normal out there. The reference of LGBT were even there in our ancient scriptures. That's normal. But again, this is against the normal status quo nature of our society. Another thing you can look at a deviation is a prostitution. Of course, it's considered as a morally wrong concept out there. People do have stigmas in this, do attach stigmas to this profession. But sir, this has been there since ancient time. It's not a new job or profession out there. It's been there since ancient time, and people still say that it's morally incorrect out there. That's a deviation. That's against the normal law of the normal law of the society. That's against the normal. So deviation is there. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You don't look deviation as you're going against the society. Deviation does challenge the status quo nature of society. Does challenge that status quo nature of society. Now, these gay and lesbians will challenge the heterosexuality out there. They will say, okay, we are normal as well. We are normal as well. Let us accept that this will be a new norm out there, and deviation will challenge the status quo nature of society. I hope you got this. Again, there has been historical rejection, dogmatic adherence. Critical thinking has not been there. Critical thinking has not been there. Why? Again, this has a major reason out there. Critical thinking has not been there because it has a major reason. What reason? The reason is that religion is a very powerful tool in our nation, and as you can see in our nation, and even Karl Marx says that religion is the opium of masses. That religion is the opium of masses. People are blindfolded. They don't think left and right when it comes to religion out there. They don't think. That's why there has been a rise of these called dharam gurus, sons out there. I don't want to name them because again that's very sensitive topic out there. But again, Asaram was there. That's been persecuted, or that's been found guilty for rape. So all these, it's a blind fate out there. When you have a blind fate, you just ignore the critical thinking part out there. Because you're just blindfolded. You're not looking left and right. You're just looking at this point that religion, whatever the religion says, it's absolutely correct. You don't question that because it's a matter of belief. It's a matter of socialization out there that you don't want to challenge out there. I hope you got this. That's dogmatic adherence. Now take an example of this. Galileo's trial, 1633. What did Galileo did? Galileo questioned certain beliefs. He tried to change the status quo nature of a society. He was known as a father of heliocentric model. Earlier there was a geocentric view that a planet revolves around what we call as Earth, but he presented no, planets revolve around Sun. So he presented that, for which he was guillotined. He was persecuted out there. I hope you got these because scientific reason will be suppressed by religious dogma. No religion would want that scientific reasoning gets amplified in society. Otherwise, they will lose their job. Out there. I hope you got these. Otherwise, they will lose their job. I hope you got these points out there. The second is again anti-vaccine movement. Contemporary anti-vaccine movement illustrate how traditional beliefs, misinformation, and anecdotal evidence can override overwhelming medical and scientific consequences. People resisted these vaccine models out there because they believe that it's harmful for their health. That's how things works. They disbelieve in the medical science, but they believe in someone's God-man out there who is stating that I can predict your future out there. That's again ridiculous. It's absolutely a dogmatic thinking. It's absolutely against critical thinking that we need for our society to move forward. I hope you got these points out there. So what we need at this moment is counter argument, value of tradition. Let me give you certain arguments why even, okay, we have given a lot of points that why we need to move forward. There has been a social regression out there, but we need certain reasons that why even certain traditions are very useful, because you need to balance those traditions and a new thinking at the same moment of time, and you need to juxtapose both of them at the same point so that a society balance out or find an equilibrium point and move forward. So social cohesion. Tradition fosters a sense of belonging, strengthening community. We still have that. We still have a social bonding, very strong social bonding as compared to the West, because we are coming from that joint family nature. We still value relation. We still consider our sister-in-law as nothing but a representation of our mother as well. जो हमारी भाभी होती हैं. Then the culture, heritage, community rituals, moral framework, it brings people together. It brings people together. For example, in Sikhism, there is called a Gurpurab out there. Lot of whole community come out and celebrate that. It again fosters what? Community bond out there. It fosters great love between them. So it's very important. It's very important for us to even carry certain amount of traditions. That there has been a kumbh out there. People were there. People were there. Come out the large number to celebrate that. So it fosters community bonding. It fosters community bonding. You need to understand that there are still certain agents that need to be carried forward in order to understand that. There has been our relationship with our parents are completely different from the West out there. There has been a transactional relationship. Once you become an adult, go ahead, live in a different life, have your own home, and separate from the parents. But we still live our parents for whole life because we love them. Probably we love them. We have a strong bond with our parents out there. We have a strong bond with our mom and dad out there. That's what tradition is. That's what tradition. So you need to balance out there. That's absolutely fine. You need to balance out there. Otherwise, society will crumble down like a deck of cards. Otherwise, the society will crumble down like a deck of cards. I hope you got this point. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this session. Let me know your comments, and thanks for this. Thanks for having me.